Somewhere out there right now, a simple-looking coin is sitting unnoticed in a jar, a drawer, or even the cup holder of a car, and that coin could be worth more than $1 million. Most people would glance at it and move on without a second thought, but collectors know better. They know that hidden among ordinary coins are rare treasures that were never meant to exist. And today we are talking about one of the most mysterious and potentially valuable coins ever released into circulation, the 1776 to 1976 D Mint Mark Kennedy half dollar. At first glance, this coin looks completely normal. It was created to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the United States, a historic moment that brought pride and excitement across the country. Millions of these coins were minted and released, which is exactly why most people assume they are common and worthless. But here is where things take a dramatic turn. Among those millions, a tiny number were struck with errors so unusual, so unexpected, that they turned into legends within the coin collecting world. Now imagine this for a moment. You are cleaning out an old drawer, maybe going through coins you have not touched in years. Your fingers brush past what feels like just another half dollar. You almost ignore it, but something catches your eye. The date looks slightly different. The letters seem a bit off. There is something strange about the surface. That moment right there could be the moment your entire life changes. Because collectors are not just looking for this coin. They are hunting for it. And when the right version appears, one with the rare doubling effect or an unusual metallic composition, the value can skyrocket into life-changing territory. We are not talking about a few $100s. We are talking about the kind of money that can pay off a house, wipe out debt, and completely transform your future. So what makes this coin so special? Why would anyone pay such an incredible amount for something that looks so ordinary? The answer lies in the secrets of the minting process. When coins are produced, they go through intense pressure and precision stamping. But sometimes something goes wrong. A die shifts slightly, a planchet is not prepared correctly, or a second strike overlaps the first in a way that creates a visible doubling effect. This doubling is not just a small flaw. It is a fingerprint of a mistake that should never have happened. On the 1776 to 1976 D half dollar, this can appear on the lettering, especially around the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." If you look closely and notice that the edges of the letters seem duplicated or slightly shadowed, you might be holding one of these rare error coins. But that is not the only thing to watch for. Some of these coins were struck on the wrong type of metal. While most were made with a copper-nickel composition, a few slipped through using silver or other planchets. These rare metallic variations are incredibly valuable because they were never intended for circulation. They are accidents frozen in time. Now here is where the story becomes even more exciting. These coins were released decades ago, which means they have been quietly moving through everyday transactions for years. Passed from hand to hand, from store to store, from one generation to the next. Most people never noticed. Most people never even imagined that such a valuable piece could be hiding in plain sight. Think about that. $1 million opportunity could have passed through your hands already without you realizing it. It could have been used to buy a coffee, dropped into a tip jar, or forgotten at the bottom of a purse. That is what makes this story so powerful. This is not a treasure locked away in a museum. This is not something reserved for elite collectors. This is real. This is happening right now in everyday life. And here is the part that should truly grab your attention. Someone out there is going to find the next one. Could be a retiree sorting through old coins. Could be a young collector just starting out. Or it could be you. Right after watching this video, you might reach into your pocket or open that old jar and discover something extraordinary. So how do you make sure you do not miss it? You need to slow down and really look at your coins. Start with the date 1776 to 1976. Then check for the D Mint mark just below the date. That tells you it was produced at the Denver Mint. Next, examine the lettering. Tilt the coin under light and look for any signs of doubling. Pay attention to the edges of the letters and numbers. If they look slightly blurred, duplicated, or shifted, that is a major clue. Also take a close look at the overall strike. Does anything seem off-center? Does the design look slightly misaligned? These small details can make a massive difference in value. And if the coin has an unusual shine or weight, it might indicate a different metal composition, which is another huge indicator of rarity. Now you might be wondering, is this really possible? Can a coin like this truly be worth that much? The answer is yes, but only under the right conditions. Coins with clear visible errors in excellent condition are the ones that attract the highest prices. Collectors are willing to pay a premium for pieces that stand out, that tell a story, that capture a moment when something went wrong in the minting process. And that is exactly what this coin represents. It is not just metal. It is a mistake that slipped through the cracks. A rare anomaly that survived decades of circulation. A hidden treasure waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. Let that sink in for a second. While most people are going about their day completely unaware, there is a hidden world of valuable coins moving right alongside them. And once you understand what to look for, you become part of that world. You start seeing things differently. Every coin becomes a possibility. Every small detail becomes a clue. This is more than just coin collecting. It is a real-life treasure hunt. One where the prize is not buried underground or locked behind a door, but sitting quietly in everyday places. And the best part is, you do not need special equipment or years of experience to get started. All you need is curiosity, patience, and the willingness to take a closer look. Because the truth is, most people will never check. They will never take that extra second to examine their coins. They will assume everything is ordinary. And that is exactly why opportunities like this still exist. So right now, I want you to think about where your coins are. That jar in the kitchen. That drawer in your bedroom. The coins in your car. Go and look at them. Take your time. Pay attention to the details. Because hidden among those ordinary pieces could be something extraordinary. And if you do find one, if you notice that doubling or that unusual strike, you need to take the next step. Protect it. Do not clean it. Do not damage it. Keep it safe and consider having it evaluated by a professional. Because that small piece of metal could be worth more than you ever imagined. They are real. They happen more often than you think. And every time one is discovered, it reminds us that incredible value can exist in the most unexpected places. So do not ignore your coins. Do not overlook the small things. Because somewhere out there right now, a life-changing discovery is waiting to happen. And there is no reason it cannot be you. Most people overlook it. They toss it into jars, leave it in cup holders, or ignore it completely at the bottom of a drawer. But hidden among ordinary coins is a mysterious piece of American history. A coin that collectors have been quietly hunting for decades. A coin that has sparked whispers, debates, and jaw-dropping auction prices. We're talking about the elusive 1979 no-mint Mark Kennedy half dollar. At first glance, it looks completely normal. Just another half dollar featuring the familiar profile of President John F. Kennedy. The same design millions of Americans have seen since 1964. But what if I told you that one tiny detail, or the absence of it, could turn this everyday coin into a life-changing discovery worth over $1 million? This is not hype. This is not fantasy. This is the kind of story that turns ordinary people into overnight legends in the world of coin collecting. Now let's rewind for a moment. In 1979, the United States Mint was producing millions of half dollars. These coins were struck in different facilities, each identified by a small mint mark. Typically, you would find a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But Philadelphia, one of the oldest and most important mints, often produced coins without a mint mark at all. That's where things get interesting. Because while many 1979 half dollars without a mint mark exist, only a tiny fraction carry something far more valuable. Something that was never meant to happen. A minting error, and not just any error, but the kind that sends collectors into a frenzy. Imagine this: you're sitting at home, maybe cleaning out your car, sorting through old coins, or opening a jar that hasn't been touched in years. You pick up a half dollar. Feels ordinary, looks ordinary, but then something catches your eye. The lettering doesn't look quite right. The edges of the words seem slightly doubled, almost like a shadow is following each letter. The date looks a bit off. The design doesn't feel perfectly aligned. That's when your heart starts to race. Because what you might be holding is a rare double die error, one of the most sought-after minting mistakes in the entire hobby. A double die error happens during the creation of the coin's design die. If the image is impressed more than once at slightly different angles, it creates a visible doubling effect on the finished coins. And once that flawed die goes into production, every coin it strikes carries that same hidden signature. It's like a fingerprint from the mint, and collectors love it because it wasn't supposed to exist. Errors like these slip through quality control only rarely. And when they do, they create instant legends. Coins that were meant to be ordinary suddenly become anomalies, rare survivors of a mistake that should have been caught. Now here's where things get even more intense. The 1979 no-mint mark Kennedy half dollar with strong doubling or off-center striking is believed by many collectors to be one of those hidden treasures still circulating today. Unlike famous rare coins that are locked away in museums or private collections, this one could still be out there, unnoticed, unrecognized, waiting for someone like you. But doubling isn't the only clue. There's also the possibility of a rare metallic strike. Most 1979 half dollars were made using a copper-nickel-clad composition. But in extremely rare cases, coins have been struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the metal disc used was not intended for that denomination. Imagine finding a half dollar that feels slightly heavier or looks slightly different in color, maybe more silver-toned than usual. That could indicate a planchet error, one of the most valuable types of mint mistakes ever discovered. These are the kinds of coins that don't just sell for hundreds or thousands. They break records. They shock auction houses. They make headlines. Now let's talk about the million-dollar question. Is it really possible for a 1979 no-mint mark Kennedy half dollar to reach over $1 million in value? In the world of coin collecting, the answer is yes, under the right conditions. Value is driven by rarity, condition, and demand. A coin with a dramatic, clearly visible error, preserved in near-perfect condition, can become the centerpiece of elite collections. And when wealthy collectors compete for ownership, prices can skyrocket beyond anything most people expect. It only takes two determined buyers and one incredibly rare coin to create a seven-figure sale. That's the reality of this hidden world. Now imagine this scenario. You're going through loose change. Maybe you weren't even planning to look closely, but something feels different. You pause, you inspect, you compare it to another coin, and then you realize, this might not be ordinary. This might be the one. This is why collectors always say, the real treasure hunt isn't in museums or vaults. It's in your everyday life, in your pockets, in your drawers, in those forgotten jars sitting on a shelf. Because coins like this don't announce themselves. They don't shine brighter. They don't come with warning labels. They hide in plain sight. That's what makes them so powerful and so dangerous to ignore. Because every day, someone spends one without realizing what they had. Every day, a potential fortune slips through someone's fingers, unnoticed, but not today. Not if you're paying attention, so here's exactly what you need to do. First, find a 1979 Kennedy half dollar. Second, check for the mint mark. If there is no mint mark under the date, you're already on the right track. Third, examine the details closely. Look at the lettering on the front, especially the words Liberty and In God We Trust. These small details, almost invisible to the untrained eye, are exactly what separate a common coin from a life-changing discovery. And here's the most exciting part. You don't need to be an expert to find one. You just need to be curious. You just need to look. Because somewhere out there, right now, another one exists. Another 1979 no-mint mark Kennedy half dollar, carrying a hidden error, waiting to be discovered. It could be in circulation. It could be in a collection that hasn't been checked in years. Or it could be sitting just a few feet away from you, right now. This is more than coin collecting. This is a real-life treasure hunt. A moment where history, luck, and attention collide, and reward the person who dares to look closer than everyone else. So before you move on, before you scroll away, before you forget this, check your coins. Somewhere out there, hiding in plain sight, mixed in with ordinary coins, sitting quietly in jars, drawers, glove compartments, or even forgotten coat pockets, there exists a coin so rare, so mysterious, and so valuable that collectors are willing to pay over $1.2 million to get their hands on it. And the most shocking part is this. Most people who see it have no idea what they are looking at. To them, it is just another old coin, just another piece of metal, just another half dollar that seems ordinary at first glance. But it is not ordinary. It is one of the most talked about hidden treasures in modern coin collecting. The legendary 1969 mint mark half dollar with a mysterious and extremely rare minting error that was never supposed to exist. Now imagine this for a second. You are cleaning out your car. You reach under the seat and pull out a handful of loose change. Dusty, forgotten, nothing special. But among those coins is one single piece that could be worth more than a luxury house, more than years of hard work, more than most people earn in a lifetime. That is the reality of this coin. This is not just about money. This is about discovery. This is about the thrill of finding something that the world has overlooked for decades. To understand that we need to go back in time. The late 1960s were a period of transition in United States coin production. The mint was experimenting with different materials, different processes, and new technologies. Coins were being produced at a rapid pace to meet demand, and sometimes, in that rush, mistakes slipped through. But not all mistakes are equal. Most mint errors are minor. A small misalignment, a slight imperfection, something barely noticeable. But every once in a while, something extraordinary happens. Something so unusual that it was never meant to leave the mint at all. That is exactly what happened with this coin. Somehow, a small number of 1969 half dollars were struck with a dramatic and highly unusual error. A doubling effect that appears in the lettering and design elements. This is not the kind of doubling you see with your eyes playing tricks on you. This is real, mechanical, permanent. When you look closely at the coin, especially under magnification, you may notice that the letters appear slightly duplicated. Almost like a shadow version of the design is sitting just beside the original. It gives the coin an eerie, almost ghost-like appearance. That is why collectors call coins like this ghosts from the mint, because they were never supposed to exist. Now here is where things get even more interesting. Not all 1969 half dollars are valuable. In fact, most of them are worth only their face value or slightly more depending on condition. It comes down to details. Tiny details that most people would never notice. The first thing you need to look for is the date. It must read 1969. That is your starting point. Without that, the coin is not part of this rare group. Next, look directly below the date for the mint mark. You should see a small D. That indicates it was minted in Denver. But do not stop there. This is where the real test begins. Hold the coin under a bright light. Tilt it slowly. Let the light reflect off the surface. Now focus on the lettering. Pay close attention to the words and numbers. Look for anything that seems off. Do the letters appear thicker than normal? Do you see a slight doubling effect? Do the edges of the numbers look like they have a shadow or a second outline? If the answer is yes, your heart should start beating faster, because you may be holding something incredibly rare. Another sign to watch for is off-center striking. Sometimes, due to a misalignment during the minting process, the design is not perfectly centered on the coin. This creates an unusual look where part of the design may be closer to the edge than it should be. This kind of error, when combined with doubling, can dramatically increase the value of the coin. And then there is the metallic composition. During this time period, the mint was transitioning away from traditional silver content. However, errors in planchets sometimes occurred. A coin could be struck on the wrong type of metal, creating a unique and highly collectible piece. If your coin feels slightly different in weight or appearance compared to others, that could be another clue. Now imagine this moment. You are sitting at your kitchen table. A small pile of coins in front of you. You pick one up, examine it, and suddenly you notice something unusual. The letters do not look right. They look doubled. You grab a magnifying glass. Your hands start to shake. You lean in closer. And there it is. The unmistakable sign of a rare mint error. In that moment, everything changes. Because you are no longer holding spare change. You are holding a piece of history. A mistake that slipped through the cracks. A secret that has been hiding in plain sight for over 50 years. And the world of collectors is waiting for coins exactly like that. There have been reports of rare error coins selling for extraordinary amounts at auctions. Collectors are always searching, always hunting, always hoping to find the next hidden gem. And here is the truth that most people do not realize. Many of these valuable coins are still out there. They have not all been found. They are still circulating, still being passed from hand to hand, still being ignored by people who do not know what to look for. That is why this is not just a story. This is an opportunity. Every time you receive change, every time you open an old jar, every time you go through a collection that has been sitting untouched for years, you have a chance to discover something incredible. But only if you know what you are looking for. Think about how many coins you have handled in your life. Hundreds, thousands, maybe even tens of thousands, and yet, How many times have you truly examined them? How many times have you slowed down, looked closely, and asked yourself if this could be something special? Because that is all it takes. Point one moment of curiosity. One careful look, one decision to pay attention, and suddenly, you could be the person who finds the next $1,000,000 coin. This is why collectors call it the ultimate real-life treasure hunt. There are no maps, no clues, no guarantees, just the possibility that somewhere, in the most ordinary place, something extraordinary is waiting to be discovered. So here is what you need to do right now. Do not wait. Do not assume you will do it later. Go check your coins, look in your wallet, search your drawers, open that old jar of change that has been sitting on a shelf for years. And when you find a 1969 half dollar, do not ignore it. Examine it carefully. Look for the D-mint mark, study the lettering, search for doubling, pay attention to anything that looks unusual, because the difference between a coin worth 50 cents and a coin worth over $1,000,000 can be incredibly small, almost invisible to the untrained eye. But now you know, now you have the knowledge that most people do not, and that knowledge could lead you to something life-changing somewhere out there. Someone is going to find one of these coins today. It could be in a cash register, it could be in a coin roll, it could be in a forgotten collection passed down through generations, and it could just as easily be in your possession right now, waiting silent, unnoticed, but not for long, because now you are looking, now you are paying attention, and that changes everything. So take a moment, check your pockets, and remember this: what looks ordinary to everyone else might just be your ticket to $1,000,000 discovery.